Hello, everybody. This is Jaime with my Idaho friends. And we are here live on Argus TV with my friend Shane Johnson of Nerds to the
Hey,
Rescue
everybody.
fame. We might have been cussing a little bit. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. I'm going to have a beverage, for I am better at this when I'm under the influence of some local delicious liquid courage.
I
Tonight,
should have grabbed one too
courage
downstairs.
here. Barbarian Brewing, little Belgian triple action, and because I miss Treefort and Ilford and all other things that revolve around beer, my Idaho craft beer month mug. Gosh, I miss it. All right, Shane, how are you, buddy?
Doing all right. Not too bad. Got my office already set up and working from home for a bit now.
Right on, right on. So, reason why we're here today is because I would like to share your project, Nerds to the Rescue, and we're gonna dive into that. But first, I would like for whoever is tuning in here in Argus Productions TV, a little bit about you and your background. You're local. You're an Idaho guy. I think you were born in Kuna, correct?
Right.
Right. And before I start asking you all sorts of personal stuff, we're gonna do just some warm-up questions just to make sure that you're ready. So,
Sounds good.
just real quick. All right. Tiger King, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I haven't seen it. Haven't really been interested, to be honest.
Oh man, that's quite all right. That's quite all right. It's probably good that you're not watching it, but it's an amazing distraction. What's the last thing that you have been watching during this time of quarantine?
I've been watching all of Picard, the new CBS Star Trek stuff, and Lock and Key on Netflix. Just finished those up
Nice.
last couple of days.
Keeping it sci-fi, I'm shocked.
No.
And yeah, I know. So right now, I believe you're a Salesforce consultant with Vantage Point. Is that correct? And
Right.
that's where you're at right now. And then you have your project, Nurse to the Rescue. How does Shane Johnson come, from being born and raised Kuna, Idaho guy, and then transition all the way into tech, consulting, IT, and doing all these things?
Well, growing up on a farm, I wasn't really a big fan of any of the farm, although it gave me a great work ethic, which is fantastic. I appreciate that from my father. But I was allergic to everything, and so I did everything to not go out and do any work. So I rebuilt my first computer when I was 8 years old. Smoke accident damaged our old 286, and my parents let me tear it apart, and I put it back together. And, but I mean, that was a $2,500 computer way back when.
Yeah, I'm glad
But
you pointed
yeah,
that out because I don't think anybody watching might know what it is that you just explained.
yeah, I'm old.
I
But yeah,
didn't mean that.
so
I meant that piece of hardware. Yeah, but yeah, continue. Sorry, I'll shut up.
oh, you're all right. Yeah, so that piqued my interest in building computers and stuff and being in the IT industry. But I didn't actually do that until about 10 to 12 years ago. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But it did actually lead me to owning the business name out of high school called Nerds to the Rescue. I registered that my senior year. I was doing a little bit of IT consulting and stuff, but like I said, it was just a side thing. Went on to do a bunch of other stuff, and then got a big break in the career working for bodybuilding.com. Took a foot in the door job in customer service. They hired me into IT 4 months later. I did a 3-month project. Within 3 weeks, and my career just started going off, and I loved it. So my real background is systems engineering, systems, some business systems, analytics, things like that. But I took another break from that because being on call 24/7, 365, even when on vacation, was a little bit too much. So I went to do some stuff for a company called Count, doing account management kind of stuff, technical account management, and now Salesforce consulting for this new company, which I started in January.
Yeah. Cool. That's a nice little summary. Where did you go to school for all of that?
I didn't. I actually skipped college, self-taught for the most part, and on-the-job training.
Of course you did. Of course. No, that's awesome. I'd love to hear that. Hey, man, I went to the University of Music, Science, and Culture, and that didn't work out for me. I had to attend for 12 years. I doubt anybody with a military background is watching that. That's the only joke that anybody got. USMC, United States Marine Corps. I'm going to shut up now and drink a beer. Hold on.
Take another drink, I mean.
No, that's awesome. Well, the reason why I love that, and the reason why I asked that, because that's a great deal of experience, a great deal of technical expertise, and not having a formal education, being born, into blue collar work, from your family, and like you mentioned, having that work ethic, because Idaho is an agricultural state, so it's not surprising for me that that's your family's background and whatnot. There's a lot of people that I'm friends with and acquaintances and people that I do business with that's their background, and I think that's amazing. And I agree with you that when you say that's where the work ethic comes from, but also kudos to you and to just kind of sort of visualize and see yourself ahead, doing something else, implementing that work ethic, and then making a career out of it. Because a lot of people in this day and age believe that they have to have a degree and then another degree, and next thing you know, they're like $100,000 in student loan debt, and it's like, ugh. So anyways, just wanted to highlight that because I think that's pretty awesome. So this is where we're at right now, and then Nerds to the Rescue is your side project. Clearly you're into games, clearly you are into community, but how do you go about involving everybody into this nerdom that is board gaming? How is it that you got into it, and why is it important to you to bring people into it?
Yeah, so I can kind of give the story. I know a lot of my friends have heard about. So friends have tried to get me to play games for years. I've only been in this hobby for a little over 4, maybe 5 years now. Started before I bought the house I'm in now, which kind of see behind me a little bit. This is part of my game room. I've got close to, if not over now, 600 games, I believe. There's like this wall over on this side is completely packed, and that wall and everything. So I got in a motorcycle accident. It was the 3rd of July many years ago. Pretty bad. Broke my back, compression fracture on my L5. I've already had back issues and back surgery, so that was just making it worse. So I couldn't walk for a while. A friend let me borrow a game called Above and Below, which Red Raven Games, if you've never heard of them, is now I have almost every single one of them, even though I haven't played many of them. It got me into this. I took it up with my family and ended up falling in love with it. And I'm going to say, and this is going to sound strange, but in the weirdest way, I saw color for the first time in many, many years. And speaking of what we did, or what I did in the past, being in IT and engineering, everything for me was black and white. There was hardly any gray area. It either works or it didn't. Ones and zeros. I mean, it was the way I saw pretty much everything, and I could cut things off, without even thinking about it if it wasn't black or white. And so for the first time, I actually saw color again when I was seeing the game. And I was excited, and I had it gave me life again. And so my whole thing was I wanted to find a way to bring this to other people. And it initially really came down to I started inviting a few people over that I knew wanted to play games, or going over to their house. It was a very small group, which led me into realizing there's got to be more people that love this hobby. That it's kind of it's a niche hobby, at least especially back then. It's come a long way in the last few years. But it's still hide, when it comes to board games, and I wanted to pull that out. I've always been a social person. I've always loved being around people, and I always like getting people going, and not necessarily being the life of the party, but driving a party. And so I started the Boise Area Board Game Enthusiast Group, which, thanks Drew, it's the acronym of BABE, so it's BABE Group, and just kind of started reaching out to people and getting people in there. Yeah, and so it kind of grew from that, and people just started going. Like it started taking on a life of its own. I didn't have to invite people anymore. Over the last few years, it just kind of, people started bringing other people in, or people would just join, seeing it's there, and that was really fun to see that start happening. So that led me into wanting to do more stuff outside of just my own house, because I threw some big events to get people involved. I had 20 to 40 people over at my old house at any given time when I did a full day board gaming event. And it was great. And I love seeing people's faces smiling. Yeah. And you haven't been to any of the big ones in my house yet, Jaime, but like at this house, I have a lot more space, and I've had like 40 to 60 people here. I've done New Year's parties, just random summer parties. So, and that's kind of my drive. I love seeing.
I like it.
Sounds like a lot of paper cuts.
I was kidding. I was kidding. Erica's gonna fire me. I'm sorry, Erica.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's really the whole drive behind.
Everybody's dressed up. It becomes like a cosplay thing. I can already see it. Boise Police Department shows up, and they're not going to take it seriously. They're just going to think it's like, we'll just turn around and go away. And then out comes the furry custom.
They'll know it's me.
I think that the alcohol by volume of this beer clearly is very high. And God bless him. All right. Sorry for interrupting. Continue.
Oh, that's it. that's pretty much the whole idea behind like where I came from. Like I wanted to bring some like happiness and joy to other people, and that's been the drive, and continues to be that same drive.
That's really cool. And by the way, the whole piece, bringing people together, just a game, that's just the igniting, that's the igniter, that's the catalyst. And then we had this domino effect in which you're driving the party, you're getting to something, and you're trying to get other people that you like and that you care about, and you want to share it with them. One thing that you said in particular, being in IT and seeing things black and white, and then playing games and hanging out, with people, and then looking at things differently. I think that's pretty important. That's a huge like pivot in life. All right. I experienced the same thing. Jaime 10 years ago is not the same Jaime right now, and it's going to be a different Jaime 10 years into the future. Because if you're not changing a little bit, then that means you're not growing. And if you're not growing, then you're a puddle, and nobody wants to hang out with a puddle. So I really want to focus a little bit more on that. What is it that you mean, when you say, you were looking at things black and white, and now you're looking at them under a different light? And I get it on the with the board gaming and hanging out with friends and sharing with that happiness and that sense of community, but a little bit on a more personal level, if you don't mind sharing, with us, what is it exactly that you mean, or if you could give us an example, maybe.
Yeah, it was more of a general thing. I was bored with life. I basically debased everything. It's probably not the right word, but I saw the root of everything and just didn't care. Like I could see a picture, see the root of it, and it was boring. Like I didn't care. It was no interest. It just didn't do anything. And I wouldn't say I was depressed, but it was a gray world, right? It wasn't much of anything. And when this happened, maybe it was because I hit my head on the asphalt, whatever. But maybe this is quite a few weeks ago. And when I saw color again, I really did. Like there was a brightness again. There was vividness to the world again, and that's really what I wanted to bring people to. It was a general statement, nothing in particular. It was just, holy crap, there's happiness again, right? Again, I wasn't depressed. It was just just a
No, yeah.
change.
No, and thank you for sharing that. I think the reason why I ask, as I continue to touch my face when that's the last thing I'm supposed to be doing right now, it's
Try having a beer.
I, yeah, we're all fucked. But really, imagine or think about like everybody right now at home, all right? And the reason why we're here, working with Argos Productions, is the reason why I'm here. I really love that when Justin and Erica approach us, that we want to push out a positive message. We want to push out, some good vibes out there, because everybody right now, it has they have their own battle. Okay, they're got their own struggle. And you sharing and talking about looking at things a little bit different and looking at things a little bit brighter. I focus on that because right now, perhaps there's somebody out there that can perhaps, right now we're all using technology. We're using it right now. We're using Vimeo. A lot of people are using Zoom. A lot of people are using Facebook Live. There's just like a plethora of like ways to keep in touch, while still practicing good, responsible physical distancing. But I think this will be an awesome key time for anybody that would be curious about, looking into this hobby and connecting with people that, dab on it, or perhaps are very serious about it, and share some of that light. I myself, the reason why I got into board gaming, which is how you and I met, some years ago, while I was still in the service, I will come home only during the holidays, mainly Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I have 3 cousins who were born here in Boise, and that's the only time that I will see them. And they introduced me to Settlers of Catan. And for anybody that is watching and doesn't know what Settlers of Catan is, you can just go ahead and Google it. I'm not going to go into the weeds about it, but it's kind of like your gateway drug into board gaming, outside of like playing like Monopoly or Sorry or any of these games. And there's nothing wrong with them, but they're fairly basic. They're fairly entry level board games in order to spend time with the family. And Settlers of Catan is just more of like, okay, we're gonna crank up the strategy a little bit more. We're gonna crank up, some of like the outside of the box thinking, and put this together. And I know for somebody like you, that's a very basic game. And now I look like a total nerd, and now I need your hat that says
I've only played it one time. I've only played it one time in my life.
See, there you go. But I have talked to a lot of people, and that's the gateway drug. That's how they start riding the dragon. That's the one, and it's always this 8-ball madness in which, they start getting hooked in that game, and next thing you know, they want to see. There was way too many drug use references, by the way. I am not a drug addict, but. but you get hooked, right? You and a lot of it has to do, with the quality time that you're spending with people, and and the interaction. And I will do this with my cousins, and they taught me how to play the game. And next thing you know, we're spending just about every Christmas, if I was able to make it, if I was not deployed or anything like that, I will come back home to Boise, and we will start playing at night. And next thing you know, it was 3:30, 4 a.m. in the morning. And that's a long time to be sharing with people, and hanging out, and sharing in an experience. So that's why I wanted to focus so much on that. Now, a little bit more about you. I know you do some work with Treefort, and I know that you're involved a little bit with Ilford. You like I say, you like to drive a party, and here I am, party of one. But I also know that during Treefort, which I dearly miss, because I continue to say it over and over and over again. There's time in which you can go and play games, and have that board game experience. So I want you to share a little bit with us about that. So can we talk about your involvement with Ilford, and also if you could talk a little bit about because Treefort's going to happen in September. Knock on all the wood and drywall and everything else, and I'm right there. let the audience know, what is that all about? Do it.
So L4, yeah, there's such a weird delay right now. But do I have as much time as you're going to finish that? Is that the?
No, you just talk. I got
So
more beer in the fridge. Don't worry about me.
yeah, I should grab one here in a second. But yeah, so L4 just kind of started with a buddy of mine, Kevin, asking me to help him out a couple of years ago, like 3 or 4, maybe. I started helping, just volunteering. And I've always been able to put together events and stuff like that, because it's just something I do on the side for fun. And so it just led into me being part of the committee for Ilford, which I love. It is a lot of work. It is 4 or 5 straight days of 12 to 18-hour days. In fact, this next year we're extending the hours, so it's going to be even longer. And then set up and tear down. It's insane. Like, even this last year, I was almost too tired to go see any shows after we were done working. You're just exhausted, but it was fun. It's a different kind of type of feeling when you're working L4 retreat. For the other question you had with the board games, we step back a second and do the other events that I was doing. I used to work right over by Lost Grove. And so I was in there all the time, and I talked to Kylie and Jake and really enjoyed just being over there, and they were fun to talk to. They found out that I was into board games. They saw pictures of my board game room. Since I have no children, I have my games.
You can borrow my children anytime, bro. You can borrow my children anytime.
Well, as long as you're here, that's fine. So that way I can come back home with you. But yeah, so they asked me to start doing board game events, and I did, and it's just kind of grown. Which actually, that's kind of how I met you, Jaime, was through those, right?
That's how we met. That's exactly how we met.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you brought that up. No, continue. All right, go ahead.
Oh, no. Yeah, go ahead. We've got plenty of time.
I was going to say, we hear, highlighting local businesses and whatnot, like, for example, Barbarian Brewing. But Lost Grove, okay, also a brewery. So when you're talking about Jake, Jacob Black of Lost Grove fame, and Kylie Boland, probably the most amazing brewery manager ever to live, never to freaking pour you a beer in the great state of Idaho, Jim Stewart. And yeah, I spent a hot minute there because they're so close to my house, aka a 5-minute bike ride, and they're awesome and they're great. But yeah, that's how we met, and I remember the initial vibe. I remember seeing it on my Facebook, feed. Hey, there's going to be, what's it, brunch and board games, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Board game brunch.
Or pardon me. Board game and brunch.
Yeah, board game.
I cannot believe you corrected me on that. You should just let me go with it, man. That's just rude.
You asked.
I'm kidding. No, yeah, I asked. Yeah. But no, and it was fantastic, and they make sure there's delicious food. They rotate the food trucks, so it's always a different experience. There's always somebody else. And then at the end of the gaming session, which is quite a few hours, then you do a game giveaway.
Mm-hmm. Started doing that just to
working. Yeah,
I started doing that just because. Yeah, it was to bring more people in and like finding a way to get more people to go there. And actually it helped. Like, people saw those, like, hey, cool. It's more than just this little shindig where people just getting together real quick. It started to become a bigger thing. And then that led into more things.
It was packed, bro. It was packed. I liked it and I loved it. And then, and somebody gets to win something in the end, which I won a game from there. I think perhaps the first and the second time that I attended. So, and it was not fixed. I just won it because, it was my destiny. But no, it's just really, really cool. Now, who do you work in partnership with when you're doing the the brunch and games? Who is it that, because it's not just you. I mean, I've been to your house. I've been to that room that you're in. You have an extensive library of games. Some of them you have played, some of them you have not. I gotta pick on you about that, and that's fine. And that's because some people, you like what you like. You like what you like. You are buying awesome, cool board games. I'm buying diapers. That's where we're at in life right now. And I am not saying that I'm jelly. I am not saying that I want to throw like a board game orgy with furries and customs over at my house with 60 other people, like you were mentioning earlier. I'm, I'm, I'm trying to hook people to watch the show. Okay, just bear with me. That was a lie, fake news. But who are you partnering with when you're doing this board games and brunch? Chess.
Yeah.
Brunch.
So
Brunch.
yeah, board games and brunch. You got it. You actually think you got it right. So originally,
Okay.
we'll step back. We'll step back for 1 second here because the reason I started doing this is so originally this all I was purchasing all this with a bigger idea in mind, and I was going to use them as my own like traveling board game stuff. But it was I have a bigger plan for these. Hopefully, if it turns out. But I started partnering with Phoenix Fire Games in Meridian. So I went out there. Originally, I was working with ABU Games because Matt is actually a friend of mine who is one of the GMs over at ABU Games, is the one that let me borrow that game that got me into this hobby. So I was using theirs for a short while, and then we just had some difference of opinions on how to run the events. And so I decided to keep our friendship, to separate that business relationship. And so started talking to Sean over at Phoenix Fire.
He watches this, and he's going to be like, whatever, dude.
No, we had a very
I'm joking. I'm joking. That's the barbarian beer talking. That was not me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So Sean and I basically we started talking. He didn't really know what I was doing when we first met. I sat down with him and kind of started talking about it and started out basic, right? I was like, I'll do the advertising for you if you just let me borrow your games. Like I didn't want him to pay me or anything. It was just kind of one of those. Hey, I'd like to utilize your stuff because my stuff's in really good condition. I want to keep it that way for as long as possible. And so that just kind of led into an actual real friendship. So him and his wife, Sean and his wife, I've done a few gaming conventions now with them, including one over in Germany. And that was really fun. Essen, Spiel Essen. Again, a week of insanity. But we've become really good friends. And so, yeah, and that'll lead into hopefully something more in the future. We'll see. Yeah, that's where partnering with.
That's pretty cool. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember because I was stalking you in social media, and you were trying to maximize the amount of you're trying to maximize the amount of stuff that you could bring as far as like games from Germany back into the US. And I was like, yeah, you're definitely gonna pay a hefty premium as far as like making sure you can get inside the country. So yeah, well, that was really cool. That was really fun. So I have a little bit of insider information. The name of the show is My Idaho Friends, and you and I are friends, so I know a few things here and there. And now I really want to get down to how my people say with an accent when they're speaking English. I want to get down to the nitty gritty. Jim Johnson. I want to. You have a project. You were talking about it a little bit, and I'm out of beer. But you know what? Erica's not going to be mad at me because for whatever reason I want to showcase this. It's a Nerf gun. It's a Nerf gun that I got from Repop Gifts, right? So if you want a kick-ass Nerf gun that has like some awesome artwork on it, you can go over there. So I have children now, and I get to like buy these things, and I can like justify the purchase because I have children and they're for my kids, but really they're for me. And as I'm loading some Nerf gun rounds into it, do tell. I know you have, Nurse to the Rescue. You're doing all your consulting stuff, and you're doing great things. You're bringing people together into the community. You're hanging out with me, which is probably the best decision you ever made. Uh, I'm very humble. I'm very, very humble. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I want you to talk to me about the next step with Shane Johnson. You have all these games. I was teasing you a little bit. You were talking. We talked before we talked over here, and you are teasing a little bit about what the next big move is going to be. I'm excited about it. I know you're excited about it. Tell me about this enormous collection of games. And I don't want to. I don't want to make it sound like I don't want to put you in a place in which you come across braggadocious. But your library of games is incredibly extensive. Actually, I don't know anybody that has any more games than you do, and and because we're limited. We're doing this via Vimeo with each other, and whoever's watching right now cannot see just really your crazy extensive library. What is the dream? Where is it that Shane Johnson wants to go exactly here? With these games, with this community, what you're creating, and this happy-go-lucky feeling that you want to share with everybody else. Tell the people watching, man. Tell the people watching. I'm gonna be shooting some things over here with my Nerf gun that I purchased at Repub Goose. Erica loves that when I do that. Go ahead. Do tell.
Yeah. So when I started doing this again, it was to bring people together, and I've done so many events at my own place, and picking up stuff, like picking up the games, delivering them, and hosting at other locations, which will still hopefully continue on no matter what. I've got more and more breweries that continue to ask me to do this. Like Barbarian is one we hope to do with something soon. Even Boise Brewing was another one, but my whole thing was that I would like to not have to pick up the games and move them every single time, or if to do that, like actually have a location instead of going to people to bring them to me, and not my house because it's a pain to clean up after lots of parties.
So many jokes. Sorry. Continue.
I will say that the community is amazing. Like everybody that I've ever met in the board game community is fantastic. And the people that have come over have helped me clean up. Hi, May. And so like I've made some great friends.
I just imagine people in a hazmat suit cleaning semen all over the place, but that's not the case.
Oh God, I love you, May. And by the way, I forgot to finish answering your question from earlier. But that's actually what led into the board game and brunches at Treefort was all brewery, not the parties in my house. So the big dream, though. So here we go. Big dream. I'd like to actually open a big board game cafe, like an actual full-on restaurant with a bar, beer and wine. Probably liquor is such a nightmare to do right now. Whether you're in Boise or Meridian doesn't matter. That might be like a phase 2 thing, and it's something that I've been working on really hard for the last few years. Even have a full business plan, like actual full-on written out business plan that's probably not, missing on the numbers because it's an insane endeavor. But it's something I was going to work with another friend, but we actually had to break that partnership up, not from anything other than just life changing for us. And so it makes a big difference when you have kids, and I don't. And so it's kind of one of those. I mean, you can get where that goes from, but the
my kids are annoying. I get it.
I actually love your kids almost more than you.
As you should. They are pretty amazing. They're sweet.
But yeah, I want to take that whole concept and take the business plan and actually build something that people come to me for, or that people can come together in one location. And that's the hard part of finding the location that makes sense, especially with this whole pandemic going on right now. Things are insane. It's hard to,
Yeah.
you can't even go out right now. So it's hard to even, it's kind of a blessing that I haven't started yet, because if I had, this would have been a very bad point.
Oh, it would have been it would have been devastating, Shane, and that's why that's what we're doing. What we're doing right now, we're trying to spit out some good vibes. We're trying to spit out some good. I know, but I get it absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the end game, and the whole idea is to take this whole collection, which I can kind of show you if this doesn't get too blurry. But so for those who haven't seen this,
Do it.
That's one wall, and this is kind of the other one. I mean, you kind of see a little bit. It's
there. You go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But sorry if that makes anybody sick.
As Paris Hilton will say, so hot. That's HAWT, because she's not a normal person, and anybody that is probably young right now does not know who she is, but we know. So yeah, so hot.
That's such a yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. But all the to actually make it into something. So.
Yeah, I am so excited about that. No. Hey, listen, I just turned 40 last month on the 21st, so I don't want to hear about this old thing. Okay, like we're good. We're good. We're solid. You're solid. I am. If I wanted to, I could make more children, but I don't, because it turns out they're incredibly expensive and annoying. So no. So we're good. We're good. We're young. It is life. It is awesome. Now, here's a very embarrassing thing to admit. And I don't know, Erica, can you hear us? We have, so anybody that is watching, we have the chat on the side. Erica, can you hear us? Or Justin, or anybody? Bark twice if you're in Minnesota. Hello?
I can hear you.
Okay, so Erica, how long are we supposed to be on? Because it's 6:28. Are we supposed to be 30 minutes or an hour? I have more questions, or we can go away. What do you want?
I've got 2 more guests at 6:30, so this is about it. But
okay.
Great.
Okay, so this is about it. So yeah, we did great. I did awesome. Shane, you did okay. First of all, or last of all, because we're wrapping things up. Okay, you did your best. You did awesome. I want to thank Justin and Erica from Argus Productions to allow me to bring my Idaho friends over here into their segment and to try our very best to send out a positive message out there. Hopefully it did not make too much of a fool out of myself. I was not aware we were live. I am sorry, Erica. I am sorry, Justin, but not really. It is authentic and it's genuine, and such is life. Also, I want to thank my guest, Shane Johnson. Thank you so much. You're an open book. I really appreciate you, friend. Appreciate you opening up your house to us to share with you your very personal story and also your aspirations. And I cannot wait, because it's gonna happen. I am just so much looking forward. Whatever the location it might be, we're going to support you 1,000%. Thank you for being part of this community and sharing your passion and your vision with all of us. And to all of you watching, whether it's one person, nobody, or 1,000 of you, thank you so much. These times are challenging and rough for all of us, but also there's a lot of good things going on. There's a lot of good, awesome people like Justin and Erica at Argus Productions, and also like Shane with Nerds to the Rescue. I don't include myself with those people because I have not elevated my game just yet. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. And if you get a chance, especially if you're here in Idaho, make sure you make the time to be kind to somebody. Shane, thank you. I am saying, as they say in Spanish-speaking countries, adieu. I was joking.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
French. Uh, but anyways, you guys take care. And when you get a chance, be kind to somebody. Love you a long time. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Love you too, brother.